listening to Your Secret is Safe with Me, non-judgmental talk about infidelity with Dr. Marie Murphy. If you're looking for new perspectives on complicated relationship issues, you've come to the right place.
Days go by, they're crawling by.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Marie Murphy. I'm a relationship coach, and I help people who are engaging in anything they think counts as infidelity to deal with their feelings, clarify what they want, and make decisions about what they're going to do. No shame, no blame, no judgments. If you are ready to resolve your infidelity situation in a way that's truly right for you, I can help you do it. There are 3 ways we can work together. You can purchase the DIY version of my program, You're Not the Only One, which contains teachings and guidance that I've developed through helping hundreds of clients deal with their infidelity situations, as well as assignments that help you put these teachings into use. You can join the group coaching version of You're Not the Only One, which contains everything that's in the DIY version of the program, but also includes group coaching calls that are held in a way that protects your privacy. Or we can work together one-on-one. All of these options are great. They're just great in different ways. And to learn more about all 3 ways you can have me as your coach, go to the services page of my website, mariemurphyphd.com/services. Somewhat regularly, I get little notes from folks out there that tell me all about their infidelity situation, or tell me at least a good part of it, and then ask what I think they should do about it. And sometimes these little notes come to me via email. Sometimes they hit one of my social media accounts because I am at least theoretically reachable in all of these ways. And sometimes when I get messages like these, I have the time and the bandwidth to fire off a short response. But sometimes I really don't. And moreover, it isn't possible for me to coach you over email or through the messaging function of any social media platform. There are probably some coaches out there who coach that way, but I don't. So if you've written to me asking for help or guidance and you've gotten a very short response back or no response back, it's not that I don't love you. It's just that that's not the way that I provide coaching. I'd love to work with you and help you with the challenges you're facing. And again, you can learn about the ways we can work together through the services page of my website. I can't wait to meet you. All right. Today we are going to talk about how to tell someone you've cheated on them. But before you even think about how you're going to tell someone you've cheated on them, I want to make sure that you have made a clear decision to tell your person that you've cheated. And I want you to make sure that you are choosing to tell your person that you have cheated for reasons that you like. I talk about making decisions for clear reasons that you like a lot on this podcast. And I talk about this a lot because it's important. And it's important to have reasons that you like for telling someone that you've cheated on them, because you never have to tell anyone you've cheated. Even if someone confronts you with evidence of your cheating that is more or less irrefutable, you could still deny it. That might not go very well, but you could do it. It is your prerogative to lie. It is your prerogative to withhold information. It is your prerogative to keep your mouth shut. Sometimes we think that we have to be honest, or more specifically, that if we cheat on someone, we have to tell them. But that just isn't true. You don't have to do that because you don't have to do anything. Sometimes people tell me that they told their partner they cheated because they thought they had to, but they then later really wished they hadn't told them. So let's be clear. You do have a choice about this. That said, even though you don't have to tell someone you've cheated on them, you may be in a situation where you want to tell someone you have cheated on them. There are lots of reasons why you might prefer to tell your person that you've cheated on them rather than keep that information to yourself. People have all kinds of reasons that they actually really like for telling their partner that they've cheated. For example, sometimes someone has been having an affair and then ended that affair and then decided that they want to do their very best to see if their primary relationship is a relationship they want to continue. And some people do not want to continue an intimate, committed relationship with their partner without telling them that they have been cheating on them or cheated on them. Now, I want to make it very clear that this is some people's preference. Some folks say, I want to tell my partner about their cheating, even though I don't have to, because regardless of their reaction, I believe that this is the right thing for me to do, and I'm willing to deal with the consequences of my disclosure, of my infidelity, whatever those consequences may be. Some people do not want to withhold information from their partner that they think has bearing upon their relationship with their partner. And for some people, that's a great reason to tell their person that they've cheated on them. So I want to be absolutely clear that I think it's fine and great to have this preference or any preference for why you want to tell your partner that you've cheated on them. But just to be clear on this too, as I've talked about on other episodes, I don't believe that you have to have this preference. I don't believe that you have to tell your partner about cheating on them under any circumstances. I don't believe that recommitting to a relationship after you've had an affair and not telling your partner about your affair will doom your relationship to failure. And I emphasize this because some people will tell you that having an affair and not telling the person that you've cheated on about it will doom that relationship to failure. There are a lot of so-called experts out there who say that if you have an affair and you don't tell your partner about it, keeping your big, bad, awful secret will corrupt your relationship with your primary partner in some fundamental way. I do not agree that that has to be the case. And I think I talked about that in more detail in episode number 89, which is called, Does Having an Affair Doom Your Marriage to Failure? I believe that there are many ways that we can relate to things we've done in the past. There are many ways that we can compost or alchemize our secrets or so-called secrets so that they don't become corrosive. But that's not what we're concerned with today. Today, we're concerned with the fact that some people choose to tell their partners about their infidelity for reasons that they like. And I've already mentioned one of those. Another common-ish reason why people choose to tell their partners they've cheated for reasons they feel reasonably good about is they know their partner is going to find out about their cheating whether or not they tell them. And this can happen in all kinds of ways. Sometimes someone who is married is having an affair with someone who is also married. And one of the spouses finds out about the affair and tells their spouse that they're going to tell their affair partner's spouse about the secret relationship. And so this member of the affair couple alerts their affair partner, and that person makes the decision to tell their spouse about the affair before their affair partner's spouse can get to them and tell them first. Did you follow all of that? Did I say all of that right? I hope so. And even if I didn't, I hope you get the idea. Anyway, the broader, more general point here is that sometimes if a person had their druthers, they would not have chosen to tell their committed partner about their infidelity, but then shit gets a little crazy and they decide that if their partner is going to find out about their cheating, they want their partner to hear about it from them first. Now, these two examples I've shared of why people sometimes choose to tell their partner they've cheated are just examples. There are all kinds of reasons why you might decide that you want to tell your partner that you've cheated. And just like it's your prerogative to lie if you want to, it's your prerogative to tell the truth if you want to for any reasons that you see fit. If you like your reasons for telling your partner that you've cheated, then great. Once you have decided that you are going to tell them for reasons that you like, then it's time to think about how you're going to tell them and what exactly you're going to say and what you might not say, and so on. And we're going to talk about all of that in just a moment. But first, there's one other really important thing I want to mention. Talked about this on other episodes, but it's worth repeating. Sometimes people want to tell their partner they've cheated because they want the relief they think they'll get from confessing the bad thing they did. Sometimes people want their partner to forgive them for cheating, and they want their partner to give them a pat on the back for telling the truth. And these can seem like really great reasons to tell someone you've cheated. You may really like those reasons. But here's the problem. You have no control over how your partner responds to what you tell them. You may really like the idea of them saying, "Oh, thanks for telling me you cheated. It's so noble and wonderful of you to tell me the truth. I love you so much and I trust you so much more now." You might imagine them saying that, and you might imagine the relief that you'll feel if they do, and you might love the idea of getting their forgiveness. But there's no guarantee that you're going to get the response that you want from your person. You might, but you might not, and there's no way to know for sure ahead of time. So when I talk about choosing to tell someone you've cheated for reasons that you like, I'm talking about having reasons that you're committed to liking no matter what happens, no matter what reaction you get from your partner or anything else. I'm talking about getting clear on why you would choose to tell your person you've cheated, knowing that whatever happens after that is uncertain, or part of it is anyway. Your person's reaction to your disclosure will be unknown to you until it happens. But you get to decide what you're going to think about your choice ahead of time. For instance, you can be as sure as you can be that no matter how your person responds to you telling them that you've cheated on them, you would much rather tell them that you've cheated than have someone else tell them you cheated. Right? You can be sure of that right now. Similarly, if you are sure that you don't want to keep the secret of the affair you had from someone you are trying to recommit to, that's something you can be certain of right now. So, why are you sure you want to tell your person that you cheated on them no matter what happens after you tell them? Ask yourself that question and then answer that question for yourself before you try to figure out how to tell them that you cheated. Now let's talk about what you're actually going to say when you tell your person you cheated. We're going to talk about how to have this conversation under two kinds of circumstances. The first is that you are choosing to tell your partner about your infidelity because you are pretty sure that if you don't tell them, they're going to find out from someone else or find out through some means you don't have control over, and perhaps find out very soon. In these kinds of situations, there may be an element of duress and there may be an urgency factor. The second situation we'll talk about, the second kind of situation we'll talk about, is choosing to tell your partner about your infidelity when there is very little chance that they know what's going on already and very little chance that they would ever find out about your infidelity without you telling them. And so we will refer to these two different kinds of situations very cleverly as situation 1 and situation 2. If you are dealing with a situation 1 or a situation 1 type scenario, you may not have a lot of time to come up with an elaborate game plan, and that may be putting it mildly. Let's say you're at work and your affair partner texts you and says, "My spouse looked through my phone and saw all of our texts. They confronted me and I told them everything. We're totally fucked and my spouse is on their way to your spouse's work to tell them everything." In that kind of a situation, you may literally have a matter of minutes to decide what you're going to do. If you find yourself in a situation that's anything like this, or in a situation where you find yourself needing to make a decision about what, if anything, you are going to tell your partner about your infidelity very quickly, here is the first thing I encourage you to do. This is so important. The first thing I encourage you to do is accept that what is happening is happening. Sometimes people don't do this. Instead of accepting that what is happening, sometimes people have an epic temper tantrum. and lament their fate and throw themselves a paralyzing pity party. Now, I think that this is completely human. I think that this is completely understandable. And I think that you may not want to use your time and energy in this way. You're allowed to not like it if your infidelity situation has been discovered and someone is either about to expose you or has indicated their intentions to do so. You can be really displeased about this turn of events, and you can still make decisions about how you are going to respond to whatever is developing. And you can make those decisions very quickly. So that's the second thing I encourage you to do after you accept that whatever is happening is happening. Decide that you can make decisions quickly. This is a choice you can make. And making this decision consciously and affirming to yourself that you have made it can help you tremendously. You can even say it out loud. I can make decisions quickly. Let's say it out loud together. Ready? I can make decisions quickly. Yes. Now, with that preparation in place, here's the first thing you probably need to decide beyond deciding that you can make decisions quickly. If there's a good chance that the person you've cheated on is soon to be informed of your infidelity, the question I want you to ask yourself is, do I prefer to do my best to get to them first and tell them about my infidelity myself? Or do I prefer any of the imaginable alternatives? Don't give yourself too much time to think about the imaginable alternatives. Just quickly consider what they may be and decide if you like any of them or not. It's really important to point out that you could just sit there and do nothing and see what happens. It is possible that even if your affair partner's spouse told your affair partner that they were going to go and find your spouse and tell them about everything you've been up to, they won't actually do it. They might indeed do it, but they might not. And so you could just wait and see. No matter what is going on in our lives, we always have the option of just sitting around and seeing what happens. And sometimes we choose to do that without recognizing that that's what we're choosing to do. What people often tell me when their cheating has been discovered is that they want to crawl into a hole and die. They say they feel so badly about what's happened that they just want to retreat from everything and everyone and hide in a hole. I'm completely sympathetic to the impulse, but unless you plan to literally crawl into a hole and die, which I do not encourage you to do, saying that you want to do this is tantamount to saying that you're just going to sit around and see what happens. Okay? If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But if you're going to sit around and wait and see what happens, I encourage you to choose to do that consciously. On the other hand, if you decide that you prefer the idea of telling your partner about your infidelity before anyone else can beat you to it, I want you to then decide how quickly you need to act. You may want to act immediately. You may want to pick up the phone immediately and tell your spouse that you need to talk to them ASAP. Or you may decide that you need to act quickly, but not immediately. Use your discretion. Be decisive based on your knowledge of your situation. If, to stick with our example, your affair partner's spouse really is on the way to talk to your spouse in person, you may need to act fast. And if you've decided that you want to tell your partner about your infidelity before anyone else beats you to it, and you know you need to act very quickly, here's what I encourage you to do. Contact your spouse or your partner or the person you cheated on. Let them know that you need to talk to them about something very important. Let them know that nobody's safety is in danger, if that is indeed the case. But tell them you have something to talk to them about that's extremely important and extremely time sensitive. Now, if you think that anyone's safety is in danger, please take your safety concerns seriously and seek the appropriate help. That is way beyond the scope of what I offer on this podcast, but I implore you to find the help you need if you have safety concerns. When you contact the person you've cheated on and you tell them you need to talk to them about something very important, but you're also assuring them that nobody's hurt, they may just want to know what's going on right away. And this is one of the many points at which you need to be able to make a quick decision. If your person says to you, just tell me what's going on right now, you could, in theory, just tell them over the phone, listen, I've been having an affair. My affair partner's spouse is on their way to your workplace to tell you everything and cause a huge scene. You could just say that and then figure out what's next after you say that. Or you could say something like, I don't want to tell you over the phone or over text or over email or over whatever mode of communication you're using. But if you can meet me at X location in X minutes, I'll explain everything. Or I'll call you in an hour and we'll talk then, or something like that. You might want to try and put it off. But if that's what you're trying to do, make sure that you're not putting it off for too long so you're not leaving your poor person in suspense indefinitely, right? If you contact your partner and you tell them you need to talk to them as soon as possible, but you don't give them many specifics right away, they may freak out, which is kind of reasonable, right? So to my previous point, you may not want to keep them in this state for very long, and you may want to give them some sense of what's coming. You might want to say, look, nobody's hurt, nobody's in danger, but I've done something that I need to tell you about, and it isn't good news. I'd really like to tell you soon, and I'd really like to tell you in person. Now, if you find yourself in this sort of a situation, is it likely to be a pretty crazy, intense moment in your life? Yeah, it quite possibly will be. Given that, I encourage you to keep in mind that there's no way to handle this kind of a situation perfectly. There may not even be any way to handle this kind of a situation very well. There aren't any magical guidelines I can give you to ensure that you say and do all of the right things if you decide, under duress, to tell your partner that you've cheated on them and you don't have much time to think through what you're going to say before you talk to them. So rather than freaking out about what's happening, I encourage you to meet the moment as best as you can and trust that even if whatever happens is messy and unpleasant or even ends up being the most awful thing you ever experience, you will survive. With that in mind, what do you actually say to your partner about your cheating? What do you actually tell them about what you've been doing once the moment to say whatever you're going to say to them has come? Here are my 5 recommendations. 1, make sure that what you tell them is direct and to the point. If you've told your person that you need to talk to them about something that's important, and that's all you've told them, they may have no idea what's coming. If you've told them that you need to tell them about something that you've done, that narrows things down a little bit, but they still may not have a clue as to what you're going to say. So given their potential ignorance, there's a big difference between saying something like, I've been cheating on you for the past year, and saying something like, I did something that you might not like, or saying something like, I did something that dishonors our marital vows. The first of those 3 statements is pretty specific. The latter 2 statements are less specific. I encourage you to cut to the chase. It's one thing to hand someone news that is shocking, but it's another thing to make someone have to try to figure out what you're saying before they can even get to the specifics of your shocking news. Now, as I've talked about in other episodes, this is pretty culturally specific advice. In some contexts, being indirect is considered a kindness, and being indirect is an effective way of getting to a direct point. But in some contexts, being indirect creates a more torturous experience for someone who is already getting news they don't want to hear. So, if you're in a context where directness is generally valued, I encourage you to give your person that you've cheated on the details that you consider essential, as succinctly and directly and precisely as possible. Okay, recommendation number 2. I encourage you to apologize for the abrupt disclosure. I encourage you to apologize for cheating. I encourage you to apologize for breaking your person's trust to the extent that you are comfortable doing so. If you are sincerely sorry for what's happening, I think it's totally appropriate to say so, and I think it can be a very caring, respectful thing to do. However, how your partner receives your apologies is up to them, and you don't have to apologize for anything you don't want to apologize for. That is not the point here. The point is that if you want to apologize, doing so might be a good idea. Number 3, you get to set a limit on how much you discuss when you disclose your infidelity to your partner. The tricky part is that depending on the nature of your situation, you may find yourself in the position of having to tell your partner about your infidelity before you've had much time to think through what you want to tell them and what you don't want to tell them. You may not have had time to carefully consider what you're willing to share and what you aren't willing to share. You may not have had time to weigh the pros and cons of deciding what you want to tell the truth about and what you might not want to tell the truth about. And depending on what's going on and how much time you think you have to think through about how you want to handle things, there may not be any way around this. Like if your affair partner's spouse is speeding towards your spouse's place of work, you may not have the luxury of really thoroughly thinking through these things. However, it is important for you to recognize that you have a right to set limits on what you share with the person you've been cheating on about whatever it is you've been doing. They may not like it if you set limits on talking about whatever it is you've been doing. Once you share your disclosure with them, they may have questions and they may want answers, and they may demand those answers now. And they may believe that it is incumbent upon you to do whatever they ask of you. Because in their mind, you may be the big bad person who dropped a big bad bomb of surprise on their lap. Here's the thing. They are allowed to be upset with you. And they are allowed to demand that you tell them everything or anything. They are allowed to stomp and scream and cry and yell. And they may truly expect you to answer all of their questions or respond to all of their wishes in the way they want you to. But even if they don't know this, I will tell you that that is not incumbent upon you. No matter what you've done, infidelity-wise, you still have rights. You still get to choose what you tell them about what you've been doing and what you don't tell them about what you've been doing. And you may need some time to think about what you want to discuss with them and what you don't want to discuss with them. And it's okay for you to tell your person that you need some time to think about this. Your person may not like that, and they're allowed to not like it. But even though you may be considered the party who has done the wrong thing, so to speak, you're still a person. You still have rights, and it's okay for you to stick up for yourself and for your rights. So in practice, this might mean giving your partner some specific information about your infidelity and then saying, I am not going to talk about this anymore today. I know this is hard for you, but this is very hard for me too, and I need to take a step back before I can talk about this anymore. And then you can take some time to get help or regroup. Now, here's the caveat to this. If you are as sure as you can be that, I don't know, let's say without a shadow of a doubt that your affair partner's spouse has gotten all of the details about your affair and plans to share all of the details about your affair with your spouse, you might just want to say, okay, sure, I'll answer any and all questions because I know that somebody else is going to give my spouse this information if I don't give it to him first. If that's what you think is happening, maybe that's what you want to do. But even if someone were to come over and hand your spouse a dossier with pictures of you and your affair partner having sex and printouts of all of the text messages you've ever sent them and that kind of thing, you would still have the right to say, I don't want to talk about all of this right now. There are questions about this that I'm not going to answer right now. I'm going to give you the basic gist of what's been going on. And then we need to step back. I need some time and space before we talk about this some more. You have the right to do that no matter what, even if your person doesn't like it. Okay, recommendation number 4. If your person finds out about your cheating very abruptly, they may want to know where you stand in relation to your relationship with them. That may be the biggest and the most immediate question they have for you. And you may not know where you stand in relation to your relationship with them because you may not have thought about it. You may have been operating in affair mode and not thinking all that much about what you want to do about your primary relationship. And if that's the case, it's okay for you to tell the person you've cheated on, listen, I don't know where I stand in relation to our relationship. I'm going to need some time to figure that out. Your person may not like to hear that, but A, you can let them not like that, and B, you can apologize for that. You can say, look, I know it sucks. I know that you really want an answer from me on this, and I know that it's kind of shitty that I don't have an answer, but guess what? I don't have an answer. Because here's the thing, if you don't know what you want, you'll probably do yourself and your partner a huge favor by being honest about not knowing what you want and taking the time to figure it out, rather than by trying to placate your partner by telling them what you think they want to hear. A lot of people, when confronted with their cheating, just want to solve for their partner's discomfort. So they say, like, I'll do anything to save the relationship, when they're not really sure if they want to do that at all. And that can lead everyone into just more pain and misery and suffering. Okay, recommendation 5. After this sudden disclosure of your infidelity, consider making short-term plans, but consider holding off on making long-term plans. The sudden disclosure of an affair can be a pretty dramatic and pretty uncomfortable and pretty dramatically uncomfortable experience for everyone involved. And that includes you. When life has suddenly become disrupted in significant ways, we may find ourselves desperate for reassurance or for solid ground to stand on. And in the service of that, we may find ourselves making plans or promises that we really aren't in any position to make. My advice is to stay the hell away from making long-term plans or promises if you've just told someone about your infidelity. But it can be really helpful to make short-term plans and promises. Committing to something like, I'm not going to talk about this anymore today, but I will be available to talk again tomorrow at X time can be great. Saying something like, I don't know for sure where I want our relationship to go from here, but I promise you that I will give that question very serious consideration, and I will do that efficiently can be great. Or let's say your partner is like, all right, that's it. You've cheated on me, so we're done, and I want you to move out immediately. You can respect what they're asking for without committing to anything long-term. Instead of being like, oh my God, this means I have to find a new house immediately, you can just say, okay, I'm going to go get a hotel room. I'm willing to stay there for the next few nights. Or you can say, okay, I'm going to go stay with a friend for a week. Or, okay, I'm going to go stay in our summer house for a few days. You can respect your person's wishes by taking temporary steps. You don't have to respect their wishes by finding yourself a new permanent dwelling right away. All right. That's kind of like emergency services stuff. There's a lot that can come after a disclosure of infidelity that was made under duress. But those next steps are another topic for another time. For now, this is my guidance on how you can navigate the initial disclosure, how you can approach telling someone you've cheated when there's pressure to do so. Now, let's talk about situation number 2, or a situation in which you're choosing to tell your person that you've cheated on them, and there isn't any urgency or duress involved. In some ways, situation number 2 is very similar to situation number 1. You still have to figure out what you're going to say, what you're going to announce about your infidelity. You still have to figure out what specifically you're going to disclose beyond the broad strokes disclosure, and what specifically you aren't going to disclose. You still have to decide what you're going to be honest about and what you might not be honest about. You still have to decide what boundaries you're going to set in terms of answering questions or how much you're going to talk about things, etc. But situation number 2 is also very different from situation number 1 insofar as you have the luxury of time on your side. You can think carefully about what you want to say, and you can be choosier about where and when and how you say it. You can think about all of the things a lot more extensively. And my opinion is that with the luxury of having as much time as you want to think about how you will disclose your infidelity to your partner comes an important responsibility. If you are choosing to tell your partner about your infidelity and you have as much time as you wish to take to figure out how you're going to say all of that, I encourage you to get as clear as you can about what you want and don't want before you tell your person about your cheating. And in terms of getting clear on what you want and don't want, I am especially talking about the future of your relationship with them, the person you've cheated on. There is a big difference between telling someone, hey, I've been having an affair and I don't really know what I want in terms of my affair relationship, and I don't really know what I want in terms of my relationship with you either. Right? That's one thing. There's a big difference between telling someone that and telling someone, look, I had an affair. It's over. I'm telling you because I want to work on our relationship. And for me, the only way that I can move forward with our relationship is if we both know about this and we both decide that we can live with what I've done. Now, if you don't know what you want in terms of the future of your relationship with the person you've cheated on, that's fair enough. You can still tell them you've cheated. And you can also tell them that you don't know where you want your relationship with them to go. This is something that you can do. But if you aren't sure of what you want in terms of your relationship with the person you've cheated on, I encourage you to get really clear on what you are willing to explore or not explore in terms of the possibilities with them before you tell them you've cheated on them. Like, are you even open to the possibility of continuing your relationship with them? If you are, under what conditions? Or what do you want to explore with them after having told them about your infidelity? Right? Get as clear as you can about as much as you can. Otherwise, by telling your partner about your infidelity, you may effectively be saying to them, here's my mess. Now it's yours too. I want to see how you respond, and then maybe I'll be able to figure out what I want here. That's not cool, in my opinion. Although I usually do not make it my business to tell you what you shouldn't do, I really don't recommend that you do this kind of thing. Right? Telling someone you've cheated without having a great sense of why you're telling them or a great sense of where you want your relationship with them to go from your disclosure may be received as cruelty. And moreover, it may create a lot of confusion and churn for both you and your partner. So, in preparation for telling someone you've cheated on them when there isn't any pressure on you to do so, get as clear as you can on where you want your relationship with the person you've cheated on to go and what you're willing to do for the relationship to help it go in that direction. Get as clear as you can about what you're going to tell your partner about your infidelity. What are the essential facts that you think they need to be aware of? What do they not need to know? Do you want to tell them everything, even if they don't want to hear it? If you don't want to tell them everything, how will you respond to them if they expect that from you? Your plans may change as the situation develops, and that's okay. But these are the kinds of things you want to think about in advance and make decisions about in advance. Also, get as clear as you can about why you are choosing to tell your person about your cheating, because you may want to explain why you're telling them that you're cheating right out of the gate. Or if you don't tell them, they may ask, and this may be a question that you want to answer as honestly as you can. Then pick a time and place to tell them that is as considerate of their needs as possible. There's never a great time for what has the potential to be a difficult and painful conversation, but you can probably find a less bad time. Telling someone about your infidelity right before they have a big day at work is probably not the most considerate thing to do. Telling someone about your infidelity the night before they have surgery is probably not a great thing to do. Telling someone about your infidelity the day after someone they love dies is probably not a great idea. But all that said, if you're going to tell them, you have to tell them sometime, and there's no such thing as a perfect time. And then from there, it's kind of a figure it out as you go endeavor. And that's okay. To my earlier points in relation to situation number 1, it can be really helpful to tell yourself, even in situation number 2, that you have the capacity to make decisions. You have the capacity to accept what is happening as it is happening and to deal with it as it is happening. And those decisions alone can prepare you for whatever is to come, even if whatever is to come is totally unknowable until it happens. Okay, if you want my help fine-tuning what you say to your affair partner when you tell them about your infidelity, you can have it. This is something that we can work on together. If you want to talk to me, you can either sign up for an introductory coaching session through my website, which is the way to get my undivided attention and the way to start working with me one-on-one, or you can join the group coaching program version of You're Not the Only One. Within the group coaching program, you can request coaching on the group coaching calls as many times as you want. Whether we work together one-on-one or we work together on the group coaching calls, we can discuss the specifics of your unique infidelity situation and how you want to deal with them. Hearing me talk about this stuff on the podcast is great, but it's a whole nother thing entirely to have my help applying my teachings to the specifics of your life. So for more information on how to work with me, go to the services page of my website, mariemurphyphd.com/services. I can't wait to talk with you. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Thank you all so much for listening and have an awesome week. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Your Secret is Safe with Me with Dr. Marie Murphy. Make sure to click subscribe to get updates on our latest episodes.